Hello, hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to this reading today. All right, this reading is going to be around the shifts and changes that are occurring in this world and how to best approach them, what you can do for yourself, what you can do for others, maybe even a little hint on what is actually happening in the collective. And yeah, I just really wanted to bring through a message because times are changing, things are changing, lots of shifts and changes. I was bombarded today with like videos of timeline jumps and things like that. And while that's very good and well, what is actually happening in the background? So this is going to be a guide of transition, and interestingly enough, a video popped up. And I listen to like frequency music, and sometimes it's just in the background to just chill to. And one popped up with Bastet, who is an Egyptian goddess, and she's sometimes depicted as a cat or a cat head on a human's body, right? She's the goddess of, like most goddesses generally are, fertility, but she is also about guiding people through transition or guiding the dead, right, as well. Also a goddess of protection from evil spirits, diseases, illnesses, that kind of thing. So while I'm not calling in Bastet to help with this reading, because the energy's there in the background, I feel like that'll come through in some form, some way. So while you can't hear it, you're going to be just listening to me. I'm going to have that energy flow through me into this reading. All right, so that's the little blurb and blah. Just another little update actually. These cards, you can still get these. They're on Kickstarter. I'll leave a description and link below. It's about a week left, or a little under a week left. So once that's finished, the campaign will be closed, and I'll be creating them and sending them out throughout the middle of this year, most likely. Okay, but let's get back into the reading. So let's see what piles come through today. Take this one as well. Let's move that out a bit so the light's not reflecting off it. So these are the three piles. So for pile one, oops, upside down, you have black tourmaline. So here is your crystal card. For pile number 2, you have Chrysocolla. And here is your crystal. And pile number 3, you have Unakite. And here is your crystal. Right, I'll leave these out down in the description below. You can jump straight to your video. Let's see here. Yeah, if you need more time, just pause the video. I'll quickly transition to the first video. Otherwise, I'll see you in your reading. Hello, welcome pile number 1. Welcome to your reading today. All right, so you've chosen the black tourmaline. This has the message of protection, self-assurance, and grounding. And it says here, let's have a look. Black tourmaline, however, goes beyond its protective role. It serves as a symbol of self-confidence and a power capable of transforming anxious thoughts into self-assurance. Interestingly enough, that's kind of where the Bastet kind of energy was coming through. And we're talking about transitions and change. So this is a really great one. The reason why I'm bringing up Bastet in this particular reading is before I even started shuffling, I knew if there was going to be a really dark crystal, like black tourmaline, or like obsidian or something like that, that this was going to be the one where Bastet probably has more of a hand into. So if you are curious or want to know more, you can always Google who Bastet is and see if there's any relevance. If not, that's okay as well. There's going to be a message in here for you. All right, so a lot of protective energy. The first thing I got with this was looking after yourself, focusing inward and being mindful of what's impacting you while you transition. Because when we're going through a shift or a change, we can be distracted, right? If we're worried about like making sure we're on time for this, heading here, we're not paying attention to the road while we're driving, right? Because we're worried about what's happening in the back seat with the kids and, you know, getting to the appointment on time, and we're kind of speeding through. You know, we can get distracted and cause an accident, and that derails everything. So sometimes we just need to take a breath and chill out. And this could be the reading where that's coming through. And who better than cats to know how to chill out, right? They're generally seen as pretty aloof and sometimes lazy. I don't believe that they are aloof or lazy. I think they're just living their lives, basically. They just focus in on whatever they need to focus in on, and if something changes, they're quick to check it out and be alerted. Okay, I'm going to take these because they flipped out. We've got Apocalypse coming through here straight away. I see that one. So before I get too far into it, we'll grab some more cards. Grab as many Oracle cards as needs to come through. Okay. I was streaming yesterday and I was on the rods, and sometimes like I get my guides to come through, or an ascended master, a deity, something like that. And the energy that came through was the heart center of the tree of life, right? So it could be seen as, I believe in Hebrew, it's like Tiferet. And it was just a very interesting energy. I've never really thought that you could call in an energy, but I guess you can call in any kind of like thing where people focus into. And what better to be part of a tree of life, right, than the heart center. So there's lots of like shifts and changes, and maybe things popping through that you didn't even think possible, right? It's been in your face, in front of your face the whole time, but now it's like, oh, now I can see that as a possibility because either someone else has done it, or I trust myself and believe in myself that maybe I can make use of this item or this option in life, right? Whatever it is. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting time. It feels like we're still getting through the first month, and it feels like it's been it's almost like feels like halfway through the year, maybe for some people. Oh, I don't know. For me, it feels like it's been a long year already. I guess because so much has already happened. All right, and then we're going to grab some tarot cards just to get some clarification, but these are the cards here. So I'm going to grab these ones. Apocalypse talks about not so much the traditional idea of apocalypse, right, the end of the world, but definitely if you are feeling like things are coming to an end, there's lots of bad things happening, things like that. We go through fluxes and changes. If you look back, there were civilizations that have come and gone, right? There were governments that have come and gone. It hasn't destroyed the nation yet, and they've even dropped bombs on cities, right? Big ones. So, you know, keep it in mindset that you're not getting into the doom and gloom. See this as a good opportunity to transform things that have been stagnant or stuck in your own family life, within your own emotional responses and well-being, right? Let's review this period. If things are going to be up in the air, we might as well throw things up in the air as well and start to decide what we want to keep and what we want to let go. Maybe not throw it up in the air, maybe lay it out, you know, whatever's right for you. But that's kind of where this is coming through. I will say as well, you are protected during this time. There's a lot of shifts and changes that we have control over, and some we have zero control over, right? It's just the way things are flowing. We've got the Lover and the Empty Room. I like the empty room for this. Exactly what I'm trying to, not really what I'm trying to do, but what the message is coming through is like cleaning out the room. You get to see the space that you have when you are moving house. It's really interesting when you're moving house sometimes. I mean, I've felt this, I don't know if anyone else has, but you move house and you clear everything out and you start to clean, and then you have a whole different outlook on the house, and you're like, oh, actually, it wouldn't be that bad to stay here now that everything's out, because now I can redesign things or change things, which you could have done. I mean, I could have done while I was living in the house, right? But you just don't do it because it's just the way it's been, and you just get stuck in like, well, it's already there, why would I need to change it? I can just use no effort or energy and just leave it. Do you know what I mean? It's something like that. So there could be some people either moving house or making a change within regards to their connections and relationships and things like that. So yeah, don't be afraid of any of the changes that you do have control over and that you don't have control over. This is not a fearful period, and it's not going to help anyway. There's going to be a lot of wild energy in the collective, I feel, with this card coming through. But you can be like this shining light, right? To not get too caught up in the drama, the human drama, I mean, of life. Because you could just imagine like some of the problems that some people have with relationships, children, parents, whatever you want to, you know, connect with. 1,000 or maybe even like 200 years ago, right? There was people going through those same things. All that stuff is just completely forgotten from the world, unless it had some kind of big impact in some way. But I can't even think of 200 years ago, right? But everyone would have gone through these thoughts and feelings. That all has its day and time, right? So you have the Chaos Seeker and the Mask, Turmoil, Crossroads, and Fears. I mean, yeah, we're really talking about this a lot. If you are feeling like you're getting into fearfulness while lots of things are changing around you, like regardless of the side of the political spectrum or regardless of gender, race, age, you know, it's like whatever it is and whatever you're fearful of what's come out with this, what could come out with here. I mean, if we rely on certain things for our happiness and they don't go to plan, we're always going to be disappointed, right? Or if it doesn't go to plan, let's say they don't do exactly what we think that should be done, whether it's like a school system, they're not always catering to us, and they're not always going to do exactly what we think is right, even if it's right for us, right? So if we can't rely on these kind of organizations, what can we do? Can we start to, you know, homeschool or something, right? Or change schools, like if that's the situation, or if it's like relationship and partnerships are not meeting requirements that we have for whatever purpose or reason, right? It could be we want a more open communication in a relationship, and we're not able to do it. Then what can you do? You can't change and force people to like communicate, right? You have to take like a real look and see what you want to do, and, you know, potentially disengage, right? Or realize that the relationship has met some kind of peak in a way, and if you're happy to stay there, then you make that decision. If you're not, then you make the change, right? Go through that process. So this is like a getting real kind of card. If I rely on this government to support me here, here, and here, and they're no longer doing that, where can I find other people that are going through the same thing who have lost income or whatever due to this situation? Let's just say, for an example, what can I do? Like, you're not hopeless without someone else. You're perfectly capable of being able to maneuver and work through this by your own self, or by finding people that are also going through the same situation and working out some kind of support system, right? This is probably a time of where things that we rely on very heavily that are at the top starting to disappoint us, or maybe not reach requirements. So now we're starting, I feel anyway, just in the way the message comes through, is like it's coming through in a way of like, now it's time to find our own support systems and our support group, and start. It's like a very empowering, right? It's empowering when we can do it ourselves instead of relying on something else, like going to potty, right? And our parents change our nappy, right? It's empowering once we can go do it ourselves, when we stop shitting ourselves, basically. So yeah, probably not a time to shit yourself. You've got Overseer and Mirror. It says monitored, controlling, and boundaries. Yeah, it's going to take a lot of effort. It's not like, when I say that, I don't mean it's easy to just like, okay, this isn't supporting me, then I need to go look at elsewhere. Of course not. We want to like pressure and put like, if something changes and a whole bunch of people is impacted and we start to write letters or go to these like protests or whatever, that kind of stuff, then it's going to lead to a point where they have to make a tough decision, because if we start to take back our power and disenfranchise these like businesses and these organizations that feel like they're at the top of the pile, right, then they're kind of done, because then we've claimed our power back. So they're going to want to, I guess, meet some of our needs or requirements to appease us, but that could even just be like an idea of like, okay, well then why did I even give my power away to this organization or higher up thing in the first place? Maybe I should just close my social media account because it's not meeting my requirements. Taking information or my images that I've created or taken photo of in a way that I don't agree with, but they're just going to do whatever they want anyway, well then I'll just shut off my access to it, right? Why do I need to rely on it? People 100 years ago didn't have social media, they still lived. We don't need it, right? In the long run. But I'm speaking very, very broadly with this reading, so there's lots of like little things. Obviously there's nuances and all that as well, so take what resonates. I'm not going to get into every type of scenario. But the overseer in mirror is monitored, controlling, and boundaries. This is like, the story of this card is a kid is kind of separated at times from his parents and is put into a room where there's kind of like a social test instead of like actual like, needles or anything like that. It's nothing like test like that, but it's more of just like a social test where they get to see. And he kind of figures out that maybe the people that he sees as saviors or like, the way it's coming through is like holy, but I guess with parents it's like guardians or protection, right, aren't actually doing it for his best interest. There's something else there, and so now he's figuring it out, and now he might need to confront that kind of thing or see what he can do, right? Pretty hard when you're a child, but everyone listening here will be an adult, so you shouldn't be in a position where that's happening anymore, right? We've got Odin with psychic insight. This is the third eye is opening. See truth for what it is, follow your intuition. This is such a good sign too. When it says see truth for what it is, when people say this is the truth, this is 100% the truth, and they have no basis, they're just spouting bullshit basically, that's when you can kind of stop. Like, just because a short comes on and someone has like a really nice voice and sounds really informative or wide-eyed and that kind of thing, take it all with a grain of salt. It's not to like be fearful of everything, right? Some people are arguing about certain things that are popping up when it's like, this isn't real, this is fake, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, this isn't an informative thing, it's just entertainment. Like, you don't want to waste your time with silly things like that. Like, if someone's coming through with like, this is the truth, blah, 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 they have no proof, they have nothing. They've just read it off some kind of wacky website, right? And then made a video about it on TikTok or something. Then, yeah, sure, maybe take it with a grain of salt and then do your own research. But don't worry about things that are not so important. If someone walks like a duck, talks like a duck, but they're saying that they're a bear or something, you're not acting like a bear, you're not talking like a bear. Just because you say it doesn't mean you are. Let people call themselves out or trip themselves up, because they will in time. No one's going to be able to fake it all the way. You've got to the Orion activation with supernova, recreation, renewal, and rebirth by light. I mean, you're getting a very, very clear sign with all these that stuff is changing, right? Shit's changing. Things are getting thrown up in the air. Things are shifting and changing for you. And that's the reality. If you see things shifting and changing, I've seen some stuff that's been put through in law in some countries and places that people were fighting the 80s and 90s to abolish, and it got to a certain point, and then something just comes along, or someone comes along and just completely undermines it, right? And it's almost like reverting back into the 70s, 60s, or 50s in some ways. And some people don't mind that, right? They want that kind of 50s lifestyle where, I don't know, the wife stays home and bakes and the husband comes home and they I don't know, talk to the neighbors about who has the nicest looking front lawn, right? You know, that kind of stuff. Sure, and that might help work for some people, but going back into the 50s ain't going to help everyone. It's probably going to help less people than people think. So, shit's changing. It's not really going backwards anyway. It's just like that mentality of wanting to go back to a so-called simpler time. It wasn't simpler for a lot of people. It wasn't easy for a lot of people. But if you live like a majority, then you know it's going to be pretty simple for you. Okay, this reading is like very broad, so broad. There was like an idea of your intuition coming through as well. Certain psychic abilities might come through, and you might think, oh, I thought only special people had them. No, everyone has them. Any psychic or whatever that says, oh, only I can do this, or you know, that they're on the ego. Don't even look at them. I mean, I don't mean don't look at them, but just like don't pay them too much attention when they start getting into ego. We all get into ego, but when you start getting on a pedestal and saying, I'm the only one who can connect you with this ancestor, right, or your deceased father or something like that, that's when it gets to me, I guess turning into a need. Like you need to talk to this person. You can't function on your own. They become they stop being like a supporter or a guide, and they start turning into a crutch or a rock, right? All right, so some of these might come out reversed. I'm reading these upright. So let's see what's first. We've got the Judgment card. Damn, there's so much stuff changing. This is so empowering though. This is understanding how and why things flow and work. You know, if you look back at a time when you were going through a relationship breakup, and while you're in that moment, it can be like the end of the world, right? The end of everything. Everything's over. I don't want to live anymore, that kind of drama. And you can't see a way forward. But then 10 years in the future, you look back and you're like, I'm glad this happened because this wasn't working, this wasn't working, this wasn't working. Or maybe all that stuff was working, but I didn't see this, and this. Now they're with someone else, right? The partner's with someone else. And so maybe that's what they needed, right? Or something like that. We didn't have this or that, so maybe that's this person, they had a better connection or whatever. And it's just looking at it objectively. Obviously, emotions will still be around. Probably for some people, a month time, they'll be mostly over it, right? And then some people 10 years down the track, they might still feel like it was yesterday. It's your own process. It's not a majority rules type things like, oh yeah, you have 1.5 years for this kind of death, 1 point for this breakup, 2 years for this, that. It's not like that. It doesn't work like that. World doesn't work like that. You process it in your own pace, but if it's impacting your day-to-day life, you want to get onto it pretty quick. If not, then, you know, don't complain about the way your life is wound up, basically. We have the Ace of Pentacles. So this is like a new beginning, like really. New path, new beginning. It's really nice. But yeah, so much stuff is changing on the outside. And internally, there's going to be some kind of connection shift and change. But you know, you have control here. You're the one that sets the boundaries. New boundaries may be needed as well. New what do you say? New boundaries. It's just coming through as new boundaries, which I would say is boundaries aren't really always just for external people to impact us. It's also for us to like not cross our own boundaries as well, because we can be pretty self-critical. Okay. Yeah, transitions and changes. This is just, it's just like, it feels like it's constant and ever flowing. Ace of Cups. new connections, new love, new relationships. You know, this is where you are at your heart center. We get so forced and caught up into the collective that we almost forget our soul. And you know, at a soul level, you might have like pissed off a lot of people, upset people, whatever in your lifetime, right? Or whatever you've done, or whatever anything's happened to you, it's shaped a lot of you. There's still certain parts of you that you may have forgotten that are coming through. And so this earthquake kind of in politics and economics, right? In actual countries and also in like the physical world with earthquakes and floods and fires and things like that, stuff is changing and it's going to continue to keep changing. So you want to be very observant and aware of how you feel. If you need to take time away, then take some time away for yourself. If you need to get involved or push something because you're just kind of sitting there, then you know, take that action, because there's a lot of shifts and changes. There's a lot of stuff coming up in your spiritual self as well. This kind of feels like with the water, also in the physical world. And here's the transition, the Six of Swords, that shift and transition. Yeah, you've got control. This is the Seven of Cups, you know, making choices and decisions. Six of Cups is really good, especially if we've been putting a huge amount of energy into our family, for example, and not into ourselves, and we need some balance in that. Or into our work and we've not need more time with our family, more balance in that. You know, it's an ever-shifting process, transition. So I feel like understanding that everything is always constantly shifting and changing and really getting that, it makes those shifts and changes better or easier to deal with, because we know that a change is coming. Shifts and changes are coming. All right, last card, the Fool. So you've got, it's interesting that they kind of like got boo, 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 right? You've got the Fool card, diving into the unknown. This one's kind of cute little dog, it's like pink. But yeah, she's coming up to the edge as always. She's like ready though. You can see all the stars and sparkles around her. It feels like she's ready to take this leap of faith or come out to this, like, come out into the world, right? So there's something energetical and rebirthing, and it may mean leaving something behind or someone behind. You know, people come into our lives and leave. I feel like we're gone of the days where people believe that if your relationship lasts till you die, then that was a successful relationship. I feel like a successful relationship is when two people know it's time to finish it because it's no longer working. That's success. That's successful. Then staying together for children, or staying together because they don't know what else to do, right? They can't see a life outside of this, even if they're unhappy, so they just stay into it. Generally that happens, and then once the kids have grown up, they divorce, right? See it all the time. You know, don't let it turn into a bitter end type thing. If this is like a relationship, remember I'm talking very generally here. So if you're like in a happy connection, then that's not really what this is about. This is just examples of what I see within this message. What I see is a huge amount of shifts and changes that really could expose some kind of like truth, right? Where it's like, oh, the people that I thought were on my side are not actually on my side. There's something else there. And that doesn't mean they're enemies. That means a conversation needs to be had or truth needs to be revealed. And you can trust yourself to understand, like, you know, if you can't have a conversation with this organization or person, then see how they treat, see what else is being said out there. Maybe other people are going through the same thing. Then you can get an idea of maybe this is not the organization or the people that I want to connect with. Right? It's just not for me. I do want to grab just one more card to see what is the overall shift about? Like, what is this overall shift happening? Because it does feel like it's opening up a whole lot of new world for you. The Judgment card, you know, they've all got their arms up. She's making decisions here. She's going to walk off the edge of the cliff, like in a like I guess it's not the best description, the full card. This full card is like kind of dated now because no one's really like blindly just walking off a cliff. But you know, sometimes that is what's happening. People will follow the Pied Piper all the way off the cliff because they believe that the Pied Piper can do no wrong. If you're following a person, especially an organization, thinking that they can't do no wrong, right? They're perfect. Then maybe just make sure that you aren't doing things or crossing lines within your own morals or boundaries, right? Okay, so let's see. What is this shift about? We've got the Crystal Skull, the Crystal Skull Wisdom. It says here, clarity, divine healing, high vibrational energy. This feels like cosmic kind of shifts that are occurring. So, you know, again, it's not really specific, but when something happens in, I guess the collectives kind of like agree on a certain thing. Like, I don't know, no more segregation of races like back in the day, right? Let's say this is South Africa and they decide, okay, we're not going to have black, white, colored. We're going to have humans as humans. Imagine that, just treating people like humans. For some people that have like blindly followed a particular path because they believe it's the right one and it was to keep that, that could be hugely altering and shattering for them, right? But if they stopped and just thought about how this impacts and maybe educated themselves, maybe they would have found more information. Maybe they wouldn't have been such bigots, right? Or maybe they would have seen that reflection within themselves and started to shift that. So when a big change happened, that it didn't impact them as much because it looks like things are shifting at like a, maybe like a cosmic level or a light level. I don't know what else to call it, but stuff is changing. And so for some people, it might feel like the end of the world for them because that's the end of the world that they know it. But the world hasn't ended. It's just not matching their ideas of what it should look like because either they're outdated or they were following a group, cult, religion, political party, whatever, that was very set in their ways. So this is going to be one where you might want to just recheck some of your own belief system, boundaries, and moral codes, right? How is that impacting this, that, or the other? What's actually happening out there? What's going on? What is really happening? Because there's no point worrying about what could happen. See what's actually happening. And is it leading towards what you fear? Then maybe there's something to look at there. And what can I do for myself or prepare myself for the shifts and changes that are occurring? But you still have control. Awareness and realization is control. You know, you've got the Seven of Cups here, making a choice, making a decision, making new pathways for yourself. This is going to be a really transformative year. And after this month, I feel like it only ramps up throughout the year. I think there's pockets where it'll chill out, but you know, for this first month, which I feel has been pretty busy and pretty wild in my mind, it feels like it's just going to keep continuing, if not stronger and quicker. So yeah, take the opportunities where they are, and if you want to redesign yourself, then go for it. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. I hope that helped part number one. I know it probably was a bit of a, like more of an overview for certain things, but hopefully there's nuggets and pieces in here. Never take these readings as like, I'll use this example, so therefore I have to break up with my partner. These are examples. Examples aren't telling you what to do. If you do take any of these readings, any readings anywhere, or any information ever as like, this is how I should live my life, then you're giving up your own sovereignty. So don't give up your own sovereignty to me, to a politician, to a religious leader, right, to a cult leader, to anyone. Take the information and trust yourself within you to be able to make strong, wise decisions, even if they are difficult. Okay, that's it. Take care, part one, and I'll see you next time. Hello, hello, welcome to your reading pile 2. So you've chosen the Chrysocolla. I think that's how you pronounce it. This is growth, empowerment, and stability. Love this for you. The elements are water and earth, which is beautiful because that's literally our planet, right? From afar, if we look at it, we see mostly blue, but there's like hopefully the greenery of earth in parts that we can see. And it's focusing in on the heart chakra. So I'll just read a little bit of this. It says, it's associated with the heart chakra, fosters self-empowerment, inner strength, aids individuals in discovering their voice and expressing their truth. Ooh, this is going to be good. I love the crystal for you too. This transition is going to be one of, self-reliance, self-confidence, self-belief, and some kind of like determination. You might even start to be involved in I don't want to say protest, but just like start to, if you feel disenfranchised, it's like start to find like-minded people to support, right? And one part, and social shifts and changes may be something on the agenda for you at some point, especially if stuff starts changing and it's really impacting areas or people that you know. The crystal is interesting because it looks like oil or something, like an oil slick. It almost looks like coral or something like that. It's kind of like sci-fi. Looks like an alien or something. Anyway, not an alien, but it just, it's giving me that vibe. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, that one really wanted to come through. I'm gonna take this one too. Oh. Light just turned off on my PC. I guess it'd been sitting stagnant. Like I said before, there's also a the sounds that I'm listening to is what I was trying to say. The sounds that I'm listening to are Bastet's Temple, it's called. That's what it's called, Bastet's Temple. So, this kind of, she helps with transition as well. Kind of like a little bit touches into like how we would see Archangel Azrael, right? Angel that helps with grief and transition from, one aspect of life to whatever's next in your existence as a soul. So lots of changing, lots of changes and changing. Okay, I'm gonna take this one. Didn't feel like I need to shuffle that one too much. I do shuffle between the readings, right? I don't just sit here and record all the shuffling and when I'm changing, but I do shuffle a little bit and then start the readings once I'm ready. Okay. Yeah, we'll grab another one as well, actually. All right, let's take a look at these and then we'll have a look at your tarot. So your crystal cards, we've got the thread and the river. I haven't really pulled this one, it's really interesting. It's kind of got like an image of a horse upside down. That's interesting. Speaking of Bastet too, the river, it just reminds me of the Nile because there was like certain parts of near the Nile Delta. I can't remember which city it's called. Actually, I have the information in front of me. Let's have a look. Yeah, okay. It's called Bilbastus. Was an important city, or is an important city in the Nile River, Nile Delta. Sorry. So yeah, maybe this has got something to do with like the Nile, or just like, there's something here with that, and like, what does the Nile really mean for the people? It's the life force, right? It's almost like the lifeblood, where it floods the floodplains, where you can grow things, because it's obviously not like the most fertile soil all around, like that area, right? Egypt and stuff. The Nile really provides a huge amounts of nutrients too, and the nutrients comes from that the water, what's in the soil. It just needs the rain, but it doesn't really happen, right? So that water is just like super important to that area of the world, and that's probably why most cities in history have built near rivers. So there's something with that. And then we've got the thread. The shifts and changes are actually coming through quite strong for you. I don't know if you feel this within yourself, but you are going to maybe get into a point where you are able to, how would I put it? Chaos is only is only really giving you an opportunity more so than stress or fear. That's not to say that there won't be any fear throughout life, but while things are changing, you're able to take advantage of them and see the actual truth of the matter. Because the thread is when someone pulls it, and instead of being rigid, like in the shadow of this, it's like taut, right? It's like wanting to white knuckle it and stay where I am and keep things the same. Everything's always evolving and changing. Anyone that tries doing that just gets like bitch slapped down, right? Because something will change. The person will pass away who's really sick and you really don't want them to, but they're sick, right? It's their time. It happens. So when that happens, it's just like a huge shock and change. Sometimes that gradual thing can really help. In some ways, doesn't mean the loss is easier or worse. It's just like we understand or have come to a terms of acceptance as this path has gone on. So, you're probably one that's going to like really see the shifts and changes as opportunities to self-empowerment, maybe empower the people around you. A lot here to continue the flow. Like no matter who runs Egypt, right? If someone came through and wanted to change everything policy in Egypt, the river is going to be the constant that keeps flowing through. Everyone's going to still rely on the river for fresh water, for growth, for sustenance, right? Certain things shift and change, but the life of the river, or like the earth, is still going to be here spinning and doing its thing, even if it's changing as well. Like redirecting rivers, earthquakes happen, volcanoes, fires, all that stuff is going to continue because that's part of the Earth's evolution and changes too. Okay, so this one's going to be like metaphorical, I guess. So not last card, but this card here is the Halls of Learning with Spirit Guides, Confirmation, and Great Lessons. Yeah, a huge amount of changes here. It almost is like a scenario could be where you're working and then you get made redundant, and you see that some people could see that door as a door being closed and now everything's over. Or they could be like, I was looking at these windows and now I didn't really want to look at them because I was pretty safe here, so why would I change it? But now that this has happened, now I can go even do something that I always wanted to, because the situation matches up with where I want to like maybe have some changes in my life, right? I was too stagnant anyway, and I needed that jolt or push or that confirmation, right, to help me make those steps in this particular direction. So it looks like great lessons coming through for you in life in some way. We'll have a look at what else. Got the Horus Cosmic Gateway. This one says, another Egyptian kind of like energy, right? This one says, your thoughts are magnetic and powerful. Miraculous changes are occurring. So while it's a great lesson, it's also for the positive. There's something positive here. Like that work example. The work could have been stagnant. Boss could have been meh. There was no growth, but it was just sustaining, right? This is out of the sustainer and into the grower. This is like growth. You're transforming. The transformation that's occurring is helping you evolve in some way, whether you kind of like it or not sometimes. But this feels like it's a huge opportunity. This cosmic gateway is like a manifestation vortex in a way. So it's kind of like how people like I don't know, with manifesting, I can create whatever I want type thing. This is like putting it out there and it coming back tenfold. It's not just what you want. It's like maybe it looks completely different to what you thought you wanted, but it's much more healthier, happier, and better. Because instead of getting the money or something, let's just say you get the relationship and the growth to be able to build a business with someone, and then you, I don't know, fall in love and whatever. It turns into a rom-com or something. You know what I mean? But like, it's just like that's not exactly what I asked for. I asked for the money, but I got like a career and a life where I had to make difficult decisions and choices, like, you know, where I had to grow and learn. So that's the kind of like energy that's coming up for you. So these transitions are not going to be anything horrible for you. Chose the chosen one and the floral garland. So this is a really beautiful one. You've got ascension, great shifts, and blessings. And you've also got the squire and the beginner sword. Practice, new beginnings, and journey. Interesting with great shifts and blessings, right? And then new beginnings. I mean, it's just reiterating what's coming through here. I do want to read the river because I feel like I didn't really hit the nail on the head with that one. So I'll get the book to do it for me. XXXIV, what's that? 34? No, that's VI. Back. Back. All right, the river talks about the stream, the flow, the current. In the light, where are we here? It says here, acceptance, grace, reflection, forgiveness. And in shadow, it says torment of emotions, flooding, and overwhelm. What might come through is something that seems overwhelmingly positive or negative, but there's some kind of like opportunity to grow from within it, to overcome, to face the challenge, or even to walk away from something that's just not serving, right? Like that job wasn't serving anyway. It was just sustaining a constant that was good enough, I guess. But with these two, this is like seeing the power of your own ability to create and move through this world, right? And to grow and learn. So it's like taking on challenges which may be stressful at times, but is hugely rewarding. Might be able to even shift things that are happening in the world. Like a spokesperson, right? And that empowers other people to do their best or make the shifts and changes they want to see as well. This could be really, really, really transformative. Now, this deck has reversed and upright, but I'm only going to read them upright. Okay, I'm going to take this one. Yeah, huge blessings, right? You got the 9 of Cups. Don't be afraid by this message. This message is really empowering. That doesn't mean you have to like go out and do some crazy stuff right now. This is like, take this information in and really start to think, what is shifting and changing within my life? What is stagnant? What do I want? Because while things are changing, let's say, you do have control or autonomy over the parts where you do have control or autonomy, right? If it's about weather or something you don't have control over, obviously you don't have control over that. Got the Judgment card coming through too. This also came out in pile 1. Just like if you want to look at that, that was a very different reading, but maybe you have, you know, you want to see more, or you were thinking about it. Got the 4 of Swords. I always like the Judgment card because it's like that realization, seeing the silver lining in the challenge, seeing the difficulty and the struggle, but the worthiness of that struggle, right? Opening up a business for the first time, and let's say it doesn't work out in the end, but you got so much knowledge and so much information and growth within that year where it didn't work out, so to speak, but the lessons and the learning were there, whereas you know, people might have said, oh, you should have just stayed at that job, it would have been less stressful. And it's like, yeah, that would have been true, but I wouldn't have learned all the stuff, right? I would have just stayed stagnant in whatever I was doing. So yeah, with that though, it looks like, you know, it's a good time to sit on this, rest with it, consider it, and just let it sit for a while. You might even not do anything and forget about this reading. The reading's not going to pop up, but that energy on that message might show through in time, maybe in a month or two, maybe, you know, sooner. But yeah, it feels like it's not meant to be just irrationally acted on immediately. This is quiet consideration, which makes sense with the Knight of Pentacles, right? He doesn't act on it immediately, but he will know. Once he knows it's time, once he's got a strategy pinned down, once he's like, all right, I'm like a farmer, right? I'm going to plant this here, this here, this here. This crop is more sturdy. This one's volatile, but it could make me more money, right? And so I'm not going to put all my eggs into one basket. I'm going to share it around. This one likes water more, we're going to keep it here. This one likes more shade, we're going to keep it by the trees. You know, that kind of thing. It's like having a plan and then letting it go. Sometimes, you know, who knows what's going to happen. A fire could rage through and change the whole thing. But, you know, you learn and grow from everything. But you'll know when to go forward with this one. We've got here the High Priestess as well. Huge amounts of knowledge to be gained in these transitions for you, Pile 2. Huge amounts. Stepping into your own as well. Like, this is it's quite crazy. And the King of Pentacles. Yeah, you're also going to be, you could say, physically rewarded via wealth, right? This isn't going to be just like what I said with like the person who goes through the challenge of starting up a new business, learns all the stuff, and then that's it. It's not just like, you know, you're not just getting that could empower you to try something different or in a different way. And so you go forward with that, which will bring reward as well. No one that's like billionaire or millionaire, I feel anyway, not all of them have gone through a point of not failing, right? They've started up a business that failed. Some of them have been bankrupt 3 or 4 times and now they're millionaires because they just kept pushing and trying. They didn't just take no as an answer. I'm not saying that they're all like who you should look up to or anything like that, but you can see that determination in some of them. Some of them, of course, have just like born into it. I'm not talking about any of that. I'm talking about the ones that have really tried to push certain, I guess, confidence and belief out there with, or trust within self to really succeed. And that's what the king is. He gets to rest. He's done his job. He's done his like work. You know, he's pushed himself to a point of like, cool, now I can feel successful, right? I can enjoy the success of the struggle, the push that I've really tried to do in the past. And as you do that, you learn and grow and understand more and more about your physical relationship with this earth and also your spiritual relationship with yourself. Because it does feel like this world is just like a big ass game in a way. That doesn't mean it's less or more important. It just means that we can really make of what we will with it. Some people like to follow the storyline in the game, right, and not deter from it. Some people don't care about the storyline and just want to go explore. And some people want to build relationships. Like, it's really kind of like that in a sense of like, what do you want to experience in this lifetime? Because this energy is perfect for you to find success and growth and expansion in it. So yeah, trust yourself, trust your guides, and you know, live authentically, live your way. I'm going to leave that there for you, pile number 2. Really beautiful reading. I hope this has really helped you and, you know, spark some kind of inspiration into your life. I'm going to leave that there quite quickly, though, because there's not much else to say with this one. Anywho, thank you for letting me read for you. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. Hello, welcome to your reading, pile number 3. So just so you know, I'm listening to the Bastet instrumental music. It's like flute. It's very like deep and underflowing, right? Subtle underflowing of the depths of life, I guess. It's kind of coming through. Anywho, this is not about Bastet, but your reading is around transformation and change and help with transitions, right? So you've got Unakite coming through with growth, empowerment, and stability. This is very similar to the Chrysocolla, I think the stone's called, with the similar type messages up here. This is talking about earth and the heart chakra. So this, okay, so just so you know where this originated from, they originate from the Unakite Mountains in North Carolina. The gemstone gets its name from the location it was first found. Beyond its visual allure, Unakite possesses special metaphysical properties that support personal growth and spiritual balance. So whatever's shifting and changing here, it doesn't have to change your resolve. If certain laws came in, let's say they made you illegal to be alive, right, or something like that, something silly like that, you wouldn't have to own that, right? You would have to move and deal with whatever happens on the outside. But we're not talking about that's going to happen. It's just like, it doesn't have to change who you are. You are still you, regardless of what happens on the outside. So it feels like your spiritual self is going to need support, but you don't need to, you're not going to be like attacked, I guess, or be driven out or have to change who you are. Is the real kind of like message. Some people might feel like that and might shift and change, but you don't have to let the external tell you who you are. Okay, let's grab, do I want this one? Yeah, I want this one. We'll take these two. It is quite an interesting time at the moment with all the shifts and changes. So it's, from what I've been reading today, since you're the third pile, right, the last pile, it's very broad. They're not giving like, oh, this is going to happen, so you need to do this, right? It's more like big shifts are changing, are coming. The things are changing. That is the truth of the matter. How you progress and move through life and take this energy in is going to depend on how you look after yourself, your mental state, your physical state, your like trust and belief and empowerment within self, right? Okay, let's take a look. Oh, interesting cards. I don't really see these two. The Destroyer and the Cosmic. That is an interesting image for the Cosmic. It's got a little cat with like a party hat on. Oh, sorry, it's not Cosmic, it's Comic. That's why. Gotcha. It's almost like, for me, the way it's coming through now is like a cosmic joke. It might seem like that, some things coming through as a cosmic joke, right? And we might see someone or an energy or an organization or something like that as a destroyer. I think people are going to see people for who they are. If you can't take someone seriously, then people are going to disengage, right? They're not going to take it seriously. Like if someone is like a high prominent figure and they start making a whole lot of baseless, ridiculous claims, at some point, yeah, there's going to be some people that believe it, because there's always going to be people that are like believing in all sorts of crazy shit. But a majority are just going to disengage and they're no longer trusted. If the source keeps producing lies and bullshit, then eventually people are just not going to look at it or believe it, because there's no point taking the word, like their word means nothing. So it's interesting the way that came through. So don't be afraid if you're seeing a lot of like crazy information coming out and fearful of like people believing it. Some people are going to believe it because they're not here to think for themselves, right? They might be going through a process of eventually getting there, but if they're giving their power away, that's their choice. You don't have to give your fear away to them, right? They're not going to do anything with it anyway. Okay. I've got the Old Master and the Time Staff. There's something here for you, pile 3, with like, don't worry about what's already transpired. What's done is done. The past is the past, whether it was personal or whether that was like in a worldly view, right? The government changes, I don't know, relationships end, that kind of stuff. There's nothing you can do to shift or change it, whether you participated in it or weren't part of it, or whatever the situation or the event was. It's like, what's done is done. Where there's purpose, you know, reflect and review on it for past events. If there's like learning and growth within that, then perfect, go do that. But this is saying, don't try to like wish woulda, shoulda, coulda type stuff. It's not going to be helpful to you. There's not going to be any purpose in it. where the purpose comes through is like reflection and determination for shifts and changes going forward. This is like a personal thing. This feels like an internal shift and change that's kind of going through. You've got the Guardian and the Empty Cup. This is nature, disconnect, and neglect. Yeah, it's tough, especially if these are what's happened, right? Certain things have occurred and it's left like an empty cup or a feeling of hollowness. And sometimes that empty cup that we feel like has been taken from us, we sabotage the cup in a way where it keeps leaking out. So we assume that, you know, an example of like an ex, we break up, an ex happens, not an ex happens, but we end up breaking up from a relationship. And then that cup feels like it's drained, right? We can feel like, oh, I'm destined to never find someone, always going to be single. I mean, I've had readings like that before, and they almost wanted me to agree to it. And I was like, if you believe that, then you believe that. I can't change your perception of that. And I'm not really here to. I'm just saying this is the reading. And if you've interpreted it as, I'll never find anybody because it's not destined in this lifetime, then that's going to be your belief for that lifetime. And that's going to be your belief for until you die. If you continue to see that as the only truth that's there, right? So be mindful of where you have holes in your cups, let's say, holes in where things that are supposed to be fulfilling aren't fulfilling. Like where's your header type thing, you know, mental, how's your mental state? It's really important here. You also have ancestral realm, karmic release, healing, the lineage, boundaries. I mean, this takes precedent with relationships, right? And also, I can kind of see it. There was like on Gogglebox, there was this, in Australia anyway, there was this family, right? And, you know, the grandmother was like the single mom with the daughter was single mom with the daughter, and then the daughter is like now a single mom with a daughter, right? And it's kind of like there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like you can see karmic patterns and imprints and like expectations, right? Of like this generation to this generation to this generation to this generation. And there's nothing wrong with any of that. It's more of just like, is that what you want to kind of repeat? Are there things that you've already gone through in this life or that you see in other people like family, friends, etc., that have gone through kind of cycles? Because I feel like your ancestral guides are coming through with this message just to like not really hijack it, but just give like an extra message of there is an opportunity to either break a cycle or to look at a cycle that's potentially repeating itself. Just like the cup with the I've had a relationship, but that's finished. Now that's ruined all my relationships. Therefore, I can't have another successful or fulfilling relationship because that person took it away from me, right? So it's like the giving the power away. This transition is going to shake the shit out of you to look at these things if need be. You've got Lady Venus coming through with downloads and understanding. This one says truth is being revealed. That would be nice, right? Truth being revealed. Deep insights are coming from heaven and the astral realm. Yeah, a lot of support or like energy from guides and things like that. This could be, you might be coming up to a shift and a change where it's like pivotal or like really important to your soul's growth and why you came here and potentially your ancestors. I was watching someone on, I can't remember their name, but they were on Next Level Soul. And they said when a karmic cycle is broken, it helps 7 generations back and 7 generations forward from like connections and relationships and overcoming certain cycles, right? So, see this as like not your burden or responsibility, but see as an opportunity to transform and grow. Okie dokie. There was one message here too. You can't really upgrade a it takes longer to upgrade a computer when other upgrades have been skipped. So I don't know why this is coming through, but it's like it's hard to upgrade a computer when other upgrades have been skipped, right? Prior upgrades. So you're going from like 1.1 to 4.8, right? There's a huge gap there. It takes longer. So some of these updates might take a while as well, as the light codes or data or information comes through, these downloads, as they call them in spirituality, right? Downloads. Everyone's getting downloads from this star race and all that kind of stuff. Whatever's true, it doesn't really matter. It's just like, see it as like opportunity to move beyond any kind of stagnation that you may be feeling you need to move on from. All right, so this deck is the Tarot deck. It's going to have upright and reverse cards. I'm going to read them all upright for the purpose of this message today. We've got the High Priestess. This does feel like things evolving in time. She also has like, I don't know, very traditional looking garb from, you know, wherever she's from, right? Which just reminds me again of ancestors. Like, this is historical. There's some kind of like historical moment coming up which you have no idea about, or there's no like clear signs, but certain things will play out, and just be aware of them as they come through. They're for your benefit in some way. Got the Queen of Wands here, and you also have the Page of Cups. This could be reigniting passion and purpose. The Queen of Wands. I like the Queen of Wands because generally the Queen of Wands is recognizing your own worth and your own value, not needing to have it externally. It's like when people say, I stopped looking for a relationship, and that's when someone popped in. And it's not so much about you gave up. It's just more of like, I'm actually quite happy with who I am. And now my expectations have changed. I don't need to be successful or fulfilled by having a man or woman come into my life who's going to fill this, that, or the other up, right? It's like, I'm already quite good with who I am and how my life's going and the things. I've got events on, I've got stuff to do, you know, that kind of thing. I don't need this anymore, which I felt like I needed before. And that's usually when someone comes in, because you're already at a point where you're in a place where you can determine what's best or what's not best for you. And that's what I mean by here with the page. It's like a messenger, right? The Page of Cups is generally like a message of love, or a message of some kind of like emotional fulfillment, something like that. So if you, because I was talking about relationships a lot in this reading, if there's any like connections and things like that that you've kind of like maybe felt you've given up on, you might be going through a process of self-reliance, self-growth. So that's where the shift is. That's why this is the internal shift card. You're going through, like, while there's like crazy shit happening on the outside, you're going through some kind of internal growth. We've got the Chariot here. Got the Knight of Wands. You've got a lot of like people cards, right? There's like court cards, I guess they would call them. Queen, Page, Knight. Knight of Wands and the Queen of Wands. A lot of powerful movement, right? Especially here with the Chariot. A lot of moving forward, overcoming challenges and fears, and really making headway this year. This isn't about a year reading. It's just like to help you with transitions, but it's like huge amount of like progress, I feel, with these cards. Another Queen coming through. Yeah, the Queen of Swords knows her value and worth. She's been through stuff that she's been through. I like the old description of her. It's like a widow or something. And it kind of, excuse me, it kind of feels a little bit shady, right? Because it's like, back in the day, the widows or like spinsters or whatever, they didn't need or have a man around because they'd either lost him through whatever means, or they never married. So they were already kind of like social outcasts, kind of like a minority. And so they kind of didn't give a fuck about like social etiquette and things like that. They would say and do whatever they wanted. And they weren't worried about recourse or like proper etiquette in some places because they didn't need it to be fulfilled, like they didn't need that external validation. So that's kind of like where she's coming through or feeling in my eyes. You know, also traditionally she cuts cords with things that no longer serve her, and what was no longer serving with like the example with like the widow or whatever. You know, is she really like able to live without a man or something like that? You know, how ridiculous back in the day was, and probably how ridiculous some people are still these days. But you know, she's she cuts cords with not just people, with also the ideas of what she thought was proper etiquette or how to live her life, right? She's now very much entrusting herself. So you could be going on a journey of this self-reliance, self-belief, all that kind of energy. And you're going to make a huge amount of headways on this path. At times it could turn into ego as well, and I feel like that's normal, because if we overstep things, something's going to push us back, and then we'll realize what the issue was. It's like, oh, I didn't realize I overstepped it, or I knew I was overstepped, I was just like trying to push my luck, let's say. And that's absolutely fine, because it's out of this like almost depression, living in the past kind of state, to embracing and making headway in the future. Even if the outside world is kind of wacky and wild, if my internal resolve is growth, then perfect. That's what I'm here to accomplish in this day and time, right? With whatever's happening in your area of the world. You're going to attract some supporters as well. Excuse me, sorry about that. If it's funny because like part of this reading was like using your voice, right? So if you felt like your voice had been taken away, like mine's getting taken away right now, you might really start to see and reclaim that voice back and start to speak your truth like she does. She don't give a shit. She does care. She's not like heartless. You know, that's when she's like this and then she's wild. But when she's upright, she's not heartless. She's just knows her worth. And same with her. She's not valued, or like, you know how some people will be online and be like, oh, that's interesting coming from you. You only have this many followers. We're not little martyrs running around trying to like be Miss Popularity or Mr. Popularity, right? It's so freaking stupid. It's just like, just because they disagree with you, like, I don't know. It's a funny little world. Let's just say that. I'm going to leave that there. It's an interesting one. There's a lot of transformation coming through, especially with regards to like karmic, like family, like ancestral stuff, if you choose to do that, right? And even your self-value with regards to love and connection. Huge shifts coming through. You can really utilize those to make large progress or deeper understanding about who you are. All right, before my voice goes, I'm going to leave that there. Thank you so much for letting me read for you. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.